Energy services companies are experiencing a moment of profound transformation these days, driven by the European Union ambition to achieve the decarbonization of the building stock by 2050. The recent revisions of the Energy Efficient Directive and, most importantly, the Energy Performance of Building Directive have positioned these companies at the core of this transformation. It is important to remember that Europe only produces 40% of its energy and that we depend on third parties for our consume. So the sectors demanding the most energy are transport with about 31%, followed by households with 26% and industry with 24.6%. This is why it is so important for us and the European Commission that energy efficient buildings are a strategic priority. In this situation, energy service companies are a key player that face many challenges. First, understanding the European regulation. Secondly, finding all the financial need for doing this, and also understanding all the new technology available for them. So it's equally important to understand what other countries in Europe are doing to face these challenges, and if we can adapt some of them here in Spain. So to discuss these topics and so more, we have two experts here with us in Conexión Energética, la eficiencia de las palabras. Carlos Vallesteros, which is the Managing Director of ANESE, and which is the energy service companies here in Spain. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And also Oliver Schlodder, which is our Chief Sales Officer Group at ista.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Pleasure. Looking forward.
So I'm Noelia Martín. I am the Marketing Manager here at ista Spain, and this is our video podcast. Thank you very much. So Carlos, we were talking at the beginning in the introduction about all this transition, but how is Spain unfolding all this situation? And most importantly, is like how private companies are dealing with it, in your opinion.
Thank you for your question, Noelia. First of all, I have to explain a little bit of the evolution of the ESCOs companies. No, I think it's a real challenge, and the mission and the vision of the ESCOs is changing constantly in the transition in the global market in general, but specifically in Spain. No, the main pillar it was always the energy efficiency. It's based on blood, we can say, right? But the evolution of the last years have to move to integrate, of course, the possibility of the technologies and the energy, the renewables energies, no? Of course, the decarbonization is in the target, but how you can achieve this goal, no? And there are many other options, right? The most important way is to be partner of the end user. That's one of the most beneficial from the ESCO vision, and everything is in the scope of the ESCOs. No, I think that's so relevant. The main or one of the most important thing that is all of them are working on it is the model contracts. There are evolution in that of one with energy performance contracting, but the concept of energy as a service, or in the future, but we are now moving in Europe, for example, for the storage as a service or other kind of contracts. No, that thing is so relevant. And to mobilize, of course, private finance, private companies to move in the private sector, but the challenge, of course, at least in Spain, is in the public sector too. No, so it's always talking about it's a key important role of the finance institutions to mobilize from the ESCOs, but for private finance, of course, but in both sectors.
Yeah, because 43% is a huge goal. What are the main challenges that we are facing here in Spain?
When we are talking about the private investments and because special focus on residential sector, for example, or third sector, no, the householding in your first participation you talk about, right? The European Union Energy Efficiency Directive makes the role of the public administration. No? For us, I think one of the main challenges is the public sector. And again, no, the cooperation between the public institutions and private. No? So we are always talking about that kind of cooperation, but it's not a real situation. We have in Spain a roadmap, for example, PENIEC, right? That 80% for the private or for the finance of this roadmap comes from the private institutions, right? But the reality, we are in the middle, so 5 years, so close to the next 5 years, and always the mobilization comes from the public sector. So it's the best challenge. And again, we have a specific energy performance contracting model in Spain with our IDAE, is our energy agency of energy, specific for the public, for the buildings and for the lighting. So we are talking about the third sector, one of the most important sector that have to decarbonize is the buildings. So we have this kind of model contracts with the public sector. So that's the main challenge for us.
So, and also I would love to know what is the situation in Europe, because ista is present in more than 20 countries, not only in Europe, but also in the Middle East. So how do they face these challenges in other countries?
Yeah, and I think absolutely this is something that we are seeing very much across Europe, but also in the Middle East. I think surprisingly, energy efficiency, reducing carbon emissions is like really the mega topic at the moment that we are seeing in many like also customer discussions, and that is across Europe. And honestly speaking, like energy costs is one of the major drivers that also brings, whether on the residential side or on the commercial industrial side, the customers to really think about, okay, what can we do about energy efficiency? But I think one thing that we definitely also see is that that at the moment the level of transparency also of energy consumption is actually very low. So the starting point, whether it's in the residential sector or whether it's in the commercial industrial sector, is on a very low level. And surprisingly, many of the companies have never been really approaching this topic in the last couple of years. And we saw a huge shift also, let's say, compared to 5 years ago, where this topic was not so present. We see a huge shift in all our customers' discussions that this topic is more and more present. And obviously also the rising energy prices, but also the, let's say, starting CO2 legislation that is also coming from a European level is playing a significant role in terms of making this topic more and more relevant and absolutely needed for the companies and for the residential sector to react.
So we're all pretty much in the same boat, right? So have you seen any energy efficiency trends emerging in Europe that is worth to discuss and put on the map?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of trends from my perspective that are visible, but from our perspective also as ista, we believe that transparency is key. And transparency can be solved via digitization of data. And we believe, and this is also my personal belief, that only if you know what you consume, only if you know what your energy consumption is, optimally on a daily basis, and this goes for a company, for like a retail shop or for an industrial player, but this also goes for a tenant in an apartment or for a person that lives in an apartment. Only if the people know what they consume, only if the companies know what they consume on a daily basis, they can, understand, okay, this creates some cost, and then they will also potentially and more likely change their behavior. So I think the mega trend from our perspective and the really like the initiatives that we are taking is making also the existing data available, because a lot of data is also available from the metering side, making this data available to our customers, to commercial industrial players, making it available, and with that already helping a very significant first step in terms of reducing energy consumption and with this also reducing CO2 emissions.
For sure, I think measurement is one of the key topics to discuss. But you were talking before about the collaboration models between public and private. How can we solve this problem? What can we do to solve this situation?
Again, no. So we have in Spain a special ecosystem. I think when we are talking always in the global ESCO network, so in the net from the ESCOs around Europe and the rest of them, we are talking always about the best option that we have in Spain. We have some tenders, specific tenders for the public and private companies, specific for that. We were talking about 5 Ps for this 5 kind of facilities. But anyway, at the end, is 3 of them: supply of the energy, the maintenance, full maintenance, full guarantee, and the investment comes from renewables and at the same time for energy efficiency. I think it's a model contract specific for the public sector, for the lighting, and for the buildings. The question here is that, and they have a good relevant advantage. We can say that this is not in the scope for your balance. Mm-hmm. So it's out of balance for the public administration. That is a real challenge that we make some efforts to understand for the energy performance contracting guide to the treatment for the public sector in that way. So it's one of the most important. Special comes from Spain or Italy or France 10 years ago for the concept of the debt. No, it was a problem situation that we can achieve that goal years ago. But later comes the next gen funds. So everything is a turnkey project, but it's not specific for the efficiency. No, you have many huge money for spend money in that way. No, and the topic was not the quantity of the energy efficiency. No? Now it's the moment for that. But I think it's so relevant, this kind of model contract. We are pioneer in that way, and the concept now is to explain the advantage for the public administration, not at the national level, right? And you say before, for the trends, I think there is a new mechanism in Spain that is the white certificates, CAEs, we say in Spanish. Yes. And maybe that's okay. It's, for the private companies now is boosting the market of the energy efficiency. And we have to be the vision and a little bit of intelligence to move that opportunity for the public sector, right? And the important key role for the public administration, especially for the third sector, but again for the householding, so for the residential, one of them, we have to mobilize in that way, right? So it's the next step, but it's a challenge. But at the same way, we have the framework, and now we have a key. No, we have to mobilize. So
we have a tool.
It's the moment, and I agree with you for the digitalization. Help us in that way. So
yeah, this is interesting. How do public, private, but also tech companies work together in this realm? Yeah,
I think I would like to share an example from the Middle East, because I think the Middle East is also quite interesting to look at this, because there also government and companies are working very closely together. I think this could be really also this is really an interesting role model what we are seeing there. And ista has having quite a significant business in the Middle East, and in the Middle East, all the countries, whether it's Emirates or whether it's Qatar or Bahrain, they have like put up top-down targets to reduce their carbon emissions by like 2040, 2050. And surprisingly, they have really ambitious targets to reduce. And what they're now doing, they're really like centrally coordinating and also funding specific initiatives to reduce energy consumption of existing buildings, both in the residential but also in the commercial space. And I think this, like in helping ESCOs and also giving concrete contracts to companies and making this like reality. And I think this is, I think, a quite interesting perspective. When we look more into Europe, I think the regulatory framework is very, very different. At the moment, I think I know the cast from Spain. I think that's a very, very interesting model. When we look at Germany, I think at the moment this type of regulation does not exist. I think here we are looking more into a regulation that says, okay, let's enable digitization for our customers. let's create a framework that allows us and makes kind of mandatory to give, at least on a monthly basis, data to the tenants of an apartment, that they see their consumption and that they can in the end accordingly reduce this type of energy consumption. I think this is a very first interesting step. In principle, it is a European regulation, but as always, national laws are a little bit slower, and Germany maybe is a front runner here. Many other countries hopefully will follow, but we would also, let's say, like that this regulation is more also enforced and also pushed into national laws, like step by step across Europe. Maybe that's also something where the European Union can be a bit more front runner and more, let's say, pushing this into the different legislations.
And also, we were talking before about data and how important it's measurement in order to take strategic decisions. So you were talking before as well that companies doesn't know this potential. So what can we do? Is there any way of trying to introduce this data and this information into companies? What is your both of you, your opinions about this?
I think, as said, I think data is key. Without data, energy efficiency will not work. Without data, we will not see significant energy savings, because only if you know what you consume, you can save. Like our core belief. And then I think on the industrial side, I think it's more that the companies start acting, and I think we see that more and more companies are creating an awareness around that. Sometimes we would like that companies decided maybe a little bit faster to use also existing data. But I think this is moving quite well. On the residential side, I think there are a lot of restrictions still on the GDPR side. Data is in principle available. So it would be possible that every, let's say, user, person living in an apartment, every tenant gets the data on a daily basis. This would be possible technically, but at the moment, GDPR regulations in Europe don't allow this. And this is something from our perspective where really the regulator could also support significantly, to make this possible, and also to help. Making the data available where it is really where it can create a usage.
In that way, sorry.
No. By all means, interrupt me.
I believe that the decision help us, or in other way. So the focus on the last years has been in the energy renewables, or in the generation, right? And now, thanks for the energy trilemma, talking always about the dependence, how many others, we have to move to put on the focus on the demand. No? Mm-hmm. And for us, it's a key, because make a little bit the perspective from not only for the members, if not for the energy sector, but specifically in Europe. We have to move for the demand. But the demand, what's the demand? You need to measure the demand. You know to analyze which is the best feeling of or how is the process of something specific for that. Of course, there are technology now. We are talking about the felicity of the market, so in the electricity of them. But we have to understand exactly, the data. And what's the best process, or what's the evolution of that? So I think the next year we have to see, and there are some kind of legislation moving forward and faster than in the past in that way for the demand. So there are the past year this year, in Brussels, we have the opportunity with the Energy Agency, International Energy Agency, talking about the new impetus, from Europe. One of them is the challenge for not only for that, if to create common market for new develops. I think that's a new challenge for that, specific, for example, for the new scheme of the not for the white certification, to be the savings market. That's something similar for the renewable. So again, the focus has been in that point, in that way, and now it's moving for the demands. I think it's a new opportunity that mobilize many other options from Spain and for the rest of them, to visualize. And you say at the beginning for the cost of the price of the energy, and maybe that's not the most important, if not to the access of that, and the opportunity to create the industries and many other things. So it's a mix That now is not the focus on the generation. I think it's a good opportunity for us in general. Right?
And what about financing? Because we've been talking about collaboration, measurement, but financing is clearly a major challenges for companies, especially in the adoption of these measures. So what is the best, in your opinion, here in Spain, what would be the best mechanism for getting this type of, of help? Like it would be subsidies, tax incentives, or what would you say would be a good mechanism?
I'm a member of a working group. It's the number 5 from the Europe that is working on the service and prosumers, and is focused on the how mobilize any kind of finance options across Europe again. No, and there are many options right now. But in our experience, of course, I have to talk about the energy performance contracting for the ESCOs. It's one of the best, of course. But the real situation is that maybe it's not the best option, the subsidies. They have many barriers, the time, the data, and the concept of the subsidies is, first of all, you need the subsidies to mobilize. If not, there are not the capacity for that. No, it's always that options. But the white certificates, again, for the CAEs, is demonstrating that this is a real finance mechanism. In Spain, it's not a subsidy. It's a different challenge and different way from, for example, from France, that is the consideration of that is a subsidy. Is not here. No, we have taxes. It's a private market, primary and secondary. No, but anyway, so. And it's demonstrating that this is a real mobilizer for boosting the energy efficiency. The concept is in what kind of sector. Of course, it's always the industry that they are mind always the energy efficiency to be more competitive. That's is in the plot of the industry, and the transport step by step. But the challenge will be, of course, in other sectors as residential or the buildings, no. And we have to make not a version 2 of the white certificates, but yes, to be more focused on that kind of sector with the CUMAC or many other options to achieve that kind of goal. No? But anyway, so for the private, the energy performance contracting out of the balance, I think is a good opportunity, and especially for the public sector, right? And the private is clear that the white certificates, and you can mix both of them, right? Because it goes specifically for the capex, so it's perfect.
And of course, the question in the European scope, he was talking about the French case, but what would you say was the impact of the EU taxonomy?
Yeah, the EU taxonomy has an impact, but when we talk about and when we think about regulation, I think from our perspective, it is very important that it is, let's say, long-term oriented and reliable. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, we don't see that. Regulation is very short-term. It changes a lot. The political landscape changes. So I think we as a company, we would like, and I think we as an industry player would like to have a very long-term, very stable regulation. And I think this for us is key. And then there are many different, let's say, possibilities how to run a regulation. So that definitely is very helpful. So also on the European side, this definitely supports, let's say, rolling out energy efficiency, rolling out the different tools. But on the other hand side, and this is also my view, that we need to define and we need to find solutions that actually pay off for themselves. And I think we need, and that's also our, let's say, important as an industry, that we need to create solutions that actually are so attractive for the customers, whether it's a residential customer or a property manager, asset owner, or whether it is a C&I commercial industrial customer, that in introducing new and efficiency tools actually pays off by itself and creates a positive cost impact. And I think this is very much also what we as ista are looking for. Okay, what helps our customers to reduce their energy consumption or their CO2 consumption significantly? Also, CO2 has a cost as of now. So what helps in reducing this? And then the different tools, the different initiatives that we're doing, they will pay off by themselves. And I think that has from my perspective, shown as being something really, really helpful and really, really also powerful to high-speed roll out different energy efficiency measures across the markets.
This is...
Sorry, Noelia, no.
No. By all means.
The solution for you, Oliver. I'm a dreamer. And it's the concept of multiple benefits.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about it, but we are working 3, 4, 5 guys in Europe to develop this kind of new normative that appear in the European Union directive, the Energy Efficiency Directive, appear the concept of the multiple benefits. When we are talking always about the energy efficiency, we are the cost of only the kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
But again, you are right, you are making some kind of reductions. When we are talking always of energy efficiency, it's the first way to decarbonize, no? It's the first concept of Europe. At the same time, you have decarbonization and the CO2. There is an impact. You have to pay for this kind of tons of CO2 or something similar. But what's happening with the rest of them? So you have, for example, in the buildings, we have this opportunity of the quality of the absentees for the people, or the better condition for that. You have to integrate, or for example, if you make a new project, right? Your facilities increase the money of that. So you have to make some other kind of benefits that you never make in the equation of the economy impact, and you have to put in value of that kind of thing. So, and maybe the results of this kind when this normative and appear later in the directive and later in the national and local and autonomy and everything. No, you have maybe the energy efficiency has another kind of goals or tools to be more economic, putting value, of course, to avoid it. No, that's the way.
Yeah, fully agree.
Nothing to add?
No. I think it is so important that the energy efficiency measures are attractive by itself, and we see that. Just in Germany, for example, from now on, and especially from 2027 on, the CO2 price will increase again. So property managers or like apartment owners need to pay it for their tenants, and then offering, like for example, heating efficiency services is very, very key, and it has a, let's say, double positive impact. It has a comfort impact for the tenant, but it also has a significant impact on reducing energy consumption and thereof cost. Because just a few weeks ago, I was on a large European real estate fair, the Expo Real in Munich, and I was also there participating on 2 podium discussions. And also again, in Germany at least, it is a huge discussion, and that you have the how we call it, the cold rent, so the rent for the apartment. Then you have all the side costs, like we call it, in the meantime, the second rent. And the second rent includes energy costs and all type of maintenance costs for the buildings. And we see that this is increasing to quite a significant level that starts to be very, very hard to be affordable for the people. And thereof, finding measures to reduce this and finding measures also to be socially acceptable for the people is something extremely important. And energy is the biggest bucket in the meantime in the second part of the rent. And thereof, I think it is also our social responsibility to work about this and to reduce energy consumption, because in the end, otherwise the people will not be able to afford housing anymore. And this is in Germany, this is a really, really big topic at the moment.
There is another good news, no? In the last year, talking about, for example, the taxonomy, no?
Yeah.
We have in ANESE, is the ESCO National Association, but we have a specific ecosystem for all the people that work from the energy efficiency work together, no? In the association. So, but years ago, we have only for the finance institutions the investment funds only, and now thanks to the taxonomy, the energy efficiency is in the scope. Right, so in the point of the mirror, also it is in that way, and it's amazing really, because the traditional bank, but the other kind of institutions for the crowdfunding, crowdlending, so renting, leasing, everything together, and working with many departments to understand what's that of the savings, what is the energy performance contracting, or as a service, or many others. So it's a big challenge for that. So the finance institution, so the taxonomy help us in that way to move faster for the finance institution to understand. And it's clear, it's always for the first bigger projects maybe in the industries, but later you have to move for other kind of sectors, right? So the residential and many others. So that kind of options we have to see in the next year. So it's step by step.
So as a wrap-up, I would like to know your final thoughts. Do you really think we're going to get the targets? Are we going to meet them? And if so, which sector would you say is going to be leading the way? Whoa.
I think it's no. Are
we going to make it?
No. But I think it's, for example, yesterday for the white certificates 2 years ago, the objective this year is thanks to the white certificates 4.5 terawatt hours. And yesterday, the Ministry told us 1 month before that is achieving this goal. So maybe we have more savings than the obligation. That's a real change in our mentality. The next year will be the double of that. And Spain has the 65 terawatt hours from here to the end of the decade. No, I believe that this kind of mechanism can change a sector that it was prepared and it was with many people working before. So is 65 terawatt is too much? Is less or is from?
What is the concept?
It's all the consumption of 1 year in Spain from May to December. It's similar to that, imagine, no? So, and we are talking always the opportunity of the energy efficiency in the intensive energy. So, it's to grow the GWP, no? So, so to produce more with less energy. That's the option of that. At the same time, Spain is one of the most relevant countries in the energy renewables energies, no? With the solar PV or the wind or maybe for the hydrogen. No, there are many opportunities to achieve these kind of things. No, so I like it. The letter, the teacher letter, no, and report because it's talking about the competitiveness. No, so the challenge is not to lose in the way from here to the decade, to lose the industry and to lose everything. And we have when we are thinking always in this transition, we are always talking about the competitiveness for the industry, but at the same time we have to look forward and to take care, not only for that, there are other kind of sector, transport, but especially for the residential, and we have to take care from the power to energy. So you say before for the cost of the energy, and we make a specific market in Spain, in Portugal for the generation, but not maybe for the savings or for other kind of things. Sure. And the challenge was so high because we are talking about quantities it was impossible for it's talking about the poverty energy, and we have always the trilemma energy, for the dependency strategy, the security of supplier, and the access to the energy in better conditions, not only the cost, not to have access for this kind of energy. So the challenge is in the goal. I think we have in better opportunities, and maybe we have to move forward and faster in Europe than in the past. Maybe we have a new year for
resolution.
Yeah, maybe no. But it's clear that the challenge is so high than before. No, so I think. And Spain, and again, for these options, not only the white certification, again, for the strategic vision, for example, for the data centers, the location is amazing. But when we are talking about the nets, and the 50% of the electricity, not in 2030, if not in 2040. So, it's an option. It's an option, but we have to make some investments in the nets, and again, to be more efficiency in the nets. Again, the energy efficiency appear in that. So the demand response, the storage, the energy efficiency, we have many options to achieve that one. No?
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think from my perspective, yes, we have a very ambitious target objective in front of us, but I think it is possible. But I think you mentioned a very important point was the competitiveness. I think this is very, very much key that, let's say, we still maintain our industry competitive in Europe. Mm-hmm. And I think that it is very important to like step by step tackle like the way towards like net zero, towards our very ambitious target until 2050. And I think we probably cannot say what the full journey will look like, but we should start today, and we're doing this, and we should like step by step implement measures, and we always need to look at, and that's what I mentioned before, we need to look at like financial like or economic viability, because it does not really make sense to implement measures that are economic not viable, but the measures also need to pay off by themselves. And I think there are like a lot of things, a lot of low-hanging fruits that we are currently still seeing in the residential sector, in the industry, in the commercial space. And I think we need to start working on this now. And then I also believe that everything only will work with technology. So in like up to 2040, up to 2050, when we really want to achieve this net zero target for Europe, a lot of new technology will also be developed. So there's continuous development. So I think, we also need to, let's say, see, okay, what will happen in the energy, like in the general landscape. And then this will help us a lot in terms of achieving net zero. But we need to start now. We need to start full speed. We need to start across. And we need to be fast. And we always need to keep the economic viability in mind. I think very, very key from my perspective.
Lovely. Well, there is no doubt that it is still a long way to achieve these goals, but for sure technology will be a key actor in this development and transition. So I just want to thank you, Carlos and Oliver, for being in this podcast. Just remind you that you have all the information available at our website, www.ista.com. And also you can follow us in YouTube channels and as well on Spotify and ebooks. Thank you again for coming, and we will see you in the next episode. We will be the finale for this year's live from the Matelec Fair. Thank you very much and see you soon.